Welcome to ABC News Worldview, a snapshot of the best of our coverage from around the globe. I'm Maggie Rulli at ABC News headquarters in New York, and we begin this week in Syria, where the final push against ISIS is underway. Kurdish forces, backed by U.S. air power, are moving to take back the last of the territory claimed by ISIS. Now it comes as President Trump says he wants to pull those U.S. troops out of Syria. ABC's James Longman and our team are inside Syria with the latest.
If you've been watching anything of Syria's civil war over the last 7 years or so, you'll have seen a lot of pictures like these. Endless rows of white tents and the refugees who live in them. But this has been a reality for millions for 7 years. An entire generation now basically has grown up in places like these. We are in a camp for Iraqis and Syrians just over the border into Syria. Iraq is that way. And many of the people who've calling this home now are people who've recently left areas that are currently at the center of the fight to liberate the last few towns from the so-called Islamic State. It's down along the Euphrates River, and as we speak, Kurdish forces are in a battle with ISIS fighters down there. When people are able to finally leave those towns, they come north to stay in refugee camps like these. But amongst the needy, Kurdish forces have to find jihadis posing as civilians. That is a real risk now. The State Department says something like 20,000 jihadis remain across this region. And just because ISIS, the caliphate, is being dismantled from an area which was roughly the size of Indiana, the organization remains, seeping, melting back into the civilian populations, ready perhaps to launch an insurgency once US troops leave here. As you can see, this is not a problem that is going to be sorted overnight. James Longman, ABC News in Syria.
To Venezuela now, where protests continued this week. Embattled President Nicolas Maduro continues to block much-needed U.S. assistance from crossing the Colombian border. Here's freelance journalist Cody Weddle with more.
I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, where Juan Guaido, he has set the date. He has said that on February 23rd, several tons of aid on the Venezuela-Colombia border will enter this country. He made the announcement at more massive anti-government protests where tens of thousands of Venezuelans once again turned out to hear him announce the plans for the coming days. But what Guaido did not say is how exactly he would get that aid into the country. Nicolas Maduro continues to block its entry. We know there have been some conversations in his circles about how they might make this happen. One option might be a river of Venezuelans, individuals crossing the border and then bringing back that aid individually. But that would be difficult. The armed forces would probably try to stop that effort. And this is an isolated area of Venezuela, and it would be difficult to distribute it among the population. Another option might be military force. We know the U.S. has consistently said that all options here are on the table. So perhaps on February 23rd, people are saying today that last option may become a reality. We're waiting for reaction from the U.S. and more information from Guaido. On the other hand, the government here was on state TV while Guaido was speaking. The vice president claiming that that aid is poisoned and that it contains biological arms, trying to explain why they're not accepting it here in the country. She did not, however, offer any proof of those claims. Cody Weddle, ABC News, Caracas, Venezuela.
Now to a major development in the trial against Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. This week, the notorious Mexican drug lord was found guilty on all 10 counts of drug trafficking and conspiracy to murder after a dramatic 3-month-long trial. Here's ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman with an in-depth look.
When the plane carrying El Chapo touched down in New York 2 years ago, the world's most wanted narco looked confused, overwhelmed even, asking the DEA agent, "Where am I?" "Nueva York," they told him. His face says it all. The most powerful drug lord ever to live, reduced to tears in the hands of U.S. federal agents. Now, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera facing life behind bars after a months-long trial found him guilty on 10 charges related to his deadly criminal drug enterprise, the Sinaloa cartel.
This conviction, we expect, will bring a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. It is a sentence from which there is no escape and no return.
He managed to elude capture for years, even escaping prison twice.
Guzman made billions pouring poison over our southern border.
Drugs smuggled in bananas, mistresses smuggled in tunnels, diamond-encrusted handguns, and the Sinaloa cartel's corruption, which some say penetrated the Mexican government, with one witness testifying a $100 million bribe was made to former Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto. He denies the accusation. The near-mythic tale of El Chapo brought crashing down by an army of law enforcement agencies, chief among them the DEA. Ray Donovan has been hunting El Chapo for the better part of 2 decades.
He really controlled his entire empire, and he did it on purpose. Chapo didn't trust anyone.
And what kind of message does it send to other drug traffickers?
It says very clearly that if we can get our hands on El Chapo, I would say we can get our hands on anyone.
It's been an operation years in the making, involving over 22 agencies and spanning 2 countries.
He is probably one of the most vicious, well-organized bad guys this world's ever seen.
Jack Riley spent an entire career at the DEA tracking down El Chapo.
He planned his business model on cops not talking to cops. And what his downfall was, we got better and better at it.
The final raid leading to his capture and extradition, a gun battle. El Chapo nearly slipping away through the sewer before being apprehended by Mexican authorities.
How did the extradition play out?
We were concerned, hey, if he already escaped from this prison, there's an opportunity for him to do it again. Giving credit to the Mexican government, they realized they had to get him out of Mexico.
Just how he managed to evade capture while amassing a $14 billion fortune running the world's largest drug smuggling ring laid bare over his lengthy trial. A trial marked by unprecedented security for jurors, many of whom were scared for their lives.
I think prior to the trial, El Chapo was a household name that was synonymous with wealth and power. And the trial put a spotlight to the real Chapo, who is a ruthless killer, manipulator, a violent drug trafficker, money launderer, liar, and adulterer.
El Chapo was one of the chief architects behind the opioid crisis.
He was the one who decided to add fentanyl to heroin to make the heroin stronger. He didn't care about the consequences. He didn't care about lives being lost.
An expert manipulator who had infiltrated the police.
He believed very strongly in a business model, and that business model included corrupting virtually every corner of the Mexican government.
And his influence and power over subordinates was so complete, one testified that he even underwent a number of plastic surgeries to fool authorities on his trail.
If you wanted to work for Sinaloa, you'd have to say where you lived, who your parents are, where your children are, in the event that law enforcement would capture you, so that you wouldn't cooperate.
Another subordinate telling the court about a smuggling operation that brought $500 million of cocaine into LA inside cans of jalapenos every year. Then there was the weeping mistress who testified that she and El Chapo fled naked from Mexican Marines through a tunnel hidden beneath a bathtub. A story she detailed in front of Guzman's glamorous young wife, who dutifully sat in court every day of the trial. His sprawling multinational drug empire extended across the globe and into every major American city. From New York to Chicago.
The Chicago Crime Commission designated him as public enemy #1.
Chapo was a genius. He had people working for them that didn't know they were working for him. 100,000 street gang members in Chicago who made their living putting his dope on the street.
His smugglers aided by innovative techniques invented by the drug lord himself. Drugs hidden on boats and in cars, but perhaps most notably in tunnels.
His nickname was Rapido, meaning fast. He was able to turn around drugs in the streets throughout the U.S.
We got access to some of El Chapo's infamous tunnels back in 2016.
Suffice it to say that whoever built this tunnel, probably not their first try.
There's some expertise and experience here.
From above ground, just an average-looking home.
Wow.
right through here.
At one point, authorities believe there were close to 200 functioning tunnels along the U.S.-Mexico border. One thing seems clear. A wall is no match for the Sinaloa cartel.
It's still the #1 cartel in the U.S. with the most drug markets. Chapo's sons are very much taking over Chapo's side of the Sinaloa cartel, following their father's footsteps, if you will.
Until the end, El Chapo maintained his innocence, his defense team only putting up one witness to the prosecution's 56. The defense claiming he was the victim of an elaborate conspiracy. Now 61, the notorious drug lord has run out of escapes. He exchanged a thumbs up with his wife before being escorted out of the courtroom.
I think about justice for all those families and for all those people that suffer.
There were literally hundreds of people being killed, innocent citizens that were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Those images are seared in my memory because I saw them all the time. Chapo was responsible for that.
Now to the latest on accused Russian spy Maria Butina and an ABC News exclusive. Those never-before-heard audio tapes of the admitted Russian agent speaking out from behind bars. Here's ABC's Kira Phillips in Alexandria, Virginia with the details.
Her arrest made international headlines. Maria Butina, a Russian national, painted as this femme fatale seeking access in America. Well, I had the chance to meet with Butina here in jail just for a couple of times for off-the-record meetings, and now on the record, you are going to hear her in her own words as she says, quote, "Truth is my best defender."
It's very hard. It's just so much pain for the family.
You're listening to the voice of Maria Butina, the gun-loving graduate student and Russian national accused of courting conservative elite and power players in the NRA on behalf of the Kremlin.
I care about my reputation.
This morning, we're hearing the 30-year-old speak for the first time since her July arrest, defending herself against allegations she was working as a covert foreign agent.
If I would be a beautiful Russian spy, you would never see me in public. I mean, I would be the most unseen person on earth.
Butina recording this duet with an NRA insider after they became romantically involved. Spent time with author and journalist Jim Bamford during the last months of her freedom. Bamford recording their conversations for a piece in the latest issue of the New Republic titled "The Spy Who Wasn't."
We had a number of long interviews, but one time she just never showed up. The next day she told me, she apologized. She said the FBI had raided her apartment.
Was it pounding on the door?
Huge. I mean, very loud.
Did they yell FBI or something?
Yeah, they told the FBI search warrant. I was completely shocked. So they pushed me in. They realized that I'm wearing an apron.
Bamford sharing these never-before-seen photos taken in the aftermath of the raid.
Me baking banana bread. That was the picture.
She was really frightened by it all.
After Butina was arrested, her conversations with Bamford continued from behind bars.
So I eat in my cell, I exercise in my cell, I read, I sleep, I do everything. I am locked for 22 hours. I get 2 hours at night to do everything, including shower.
In December, Butina cut a deal with federal prosecutors, pleading guilty to conspiracy to act as a foreign agent. But Bamford believes she's just looking for a way out.
I think she's probably hoping that this may bring an end to it and she'll go back to Russia and this will be a nightmare that'll be over.
And interesting to note, Butina also told Bamford she was never interviewed by special counsel Robert Mueller's office as part of the investigation into Russian election meddling.
Moving now to the royals and a revelation from Meghan Markle's father. He released a personal letter she wrote to him after marrying Prince Harry, which says her heart has been broken into a million pieces.
Hey guys, you're watching ABC News Live. I'm Julia McFarlane in London. Let's just recap to where this latest developments have started. Last week, of course, you'll remember that People magazine had that big exclusive where 5 of Duchess Meghan's closest friends confided anonymously with the magazine. They said that they felt the the need to set the record straight on a lot of negative stories that have been appearing in the press lately. They felt they had to voice their concerns over Meghan's health. She, of course, is in her final stages of pregnancy, and this public drama that's been playing out between her and her father, Thomas Markle, some members of her family, they say it's causing them a lot of concern for the Duchess's health. They're worried about how stressed it's making her, and they felt the need to speak out on her defense. Now, of course, what happened after that? Well, lo and behold, here we have the Mail on Sunday, and in it they said that they had a bombshell letter which they got from Thomas Markle, Meghan's father. It is a handwritten 5-page letter from Meghan where she reportedly got in touch with Thomas Markle shortly after her wedding last year to Prince Harry. In this letter, she begs her father, she says, "If you love me, please stop lying and exploiting my relationship with my husband." She starts off with, "Daddy, it's with a heavy heart that I write this, not understanding why you have chosen to take this path, turning a blind eye to the pain that you're causing." What she's referring to is the fact that Thomas Markle has told the media that Meghan and Harry never reached out to him. In this letter she says, you know, "Why are you saying this? I reached out to you so many times. I tried to call you. You never picked up." Thomas Markle telling the Mail on Sunday that this very painful letter from Meghan Markle was like a dagger to his heart. Now, of course, this is playing out as Meghan is continuing to make that transition from a member of the public, from a public figure in her own right, to a member of this very ancient institution that is the royal family, with their own particular ways of doing things and handling things, especially like the media. So, of course, this public spectacle that is being played out, we'll see what the latest developments are. We'll stay with them and we'll bring you the latest news. Thanks for watching. I'm Julia McFarlane in London. Stay with us on ABC News Live.
Sticking with the royals, this week the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, is weighing in on the cyberbullying that Kate and Meghan have found themselves in the middle of. She says the online baiting is similar to what the media did with her and Princess Diana. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef with more.
Sarah Ferguson opening up in a candid letter in Hello magazine, taking aim at what she calls the sewer of social media. In what many royal watchers see as a not-so-veiled reference to a media-driven divide between Duchess Meghan and Duchess Kate. Fergie writing, "Women in particular are constantly pitted against and compared with each other in a way that reminds me of how people tried to portray Diana and me all the time as rivals, which is something neither of us ever really felt."
She absolutely is referring to the treatment of Meghan and Kate. Certainly there are parallels between the relationship that Kate and Meghan have and Diana and Fergie had.
The pointed essay by the Duchess of York, an endorsement of the Hello to Kindness campaign, an effort to quell toxic online bullying, something Fergie says can take a lasting toll. This isn't about freedom of speech. The truth is, it's not acceptable to post abuse or threats on social media or news sites, she writes, adding, "It's not acceptable to troll other people viciously online." Fergie, not the only one condemning the harsh scrutiny. Duchess Meghan's good friend George Clooney with this ominous warning at a press panel in Australia. She's a woman who is 7 months pregnant, and she has been pursued and vilified and chased in the same way Diana was, and it's history repeating itself. We've seen how that ends. In recent months, social media swirling with hateful comments fanning an alleged feud between the royal sisters-in-law.
It's safe to say that when the Duchess of York and the Princess of Wales were around, social media didn't exist, and this was always being played out in the newspapers. Nowadays, we're seeing something very similar online with their fans pitted against each other.
Fergie ending her commentary with a call for compassion. Let's all try to think before we post. Let's all try to treat each other a little more gently.
And royal watchers say the bullying of Meghan and Kate has become so toxic that Kensington Palace, which controls their social media, has actually been forced to delete some of the comments. And now that Fergie is no longer a senior royal, she's free to have her own Instagram, her own Twitter, and it seems like she's stepping up to the plate.
And now a look at some of the videos from across the globe that have caught our attention this week. And first up, a man trying to make the world a better place by making it a little less hangry.
We got chips, we got peanuts.
This is Jeremy Patton. He decided that if you want to make people happy, just give them free snacks. Turns out it actually works. Jeremy filled up a grocery cart full of food and strolled around Ontario, Canada, handing out free snacks to strangers. He had peanuts, he had chips, he had gum. All of it was free. Now, many people were in shock, just saying, are you for real? Others were simply incredibly grateful. He says his only mission here was to inspire others to carry out good deeds. I love that. How nice is that? I want to start this free snack giveaway in our newsroom. I think everyone would love me. Do you agree? There's cheers. There's cheers. Everyone would love me. Great idea, Jeremy. All right, now in this next video, I think this shark maybe thought the human was a free snack. What? No, this video's insane. That was way too close of a call for me. The camera is literally inside the shark's mouth. Now, this incredible close encounter happened off the coast of the Bahamas when one of the divers held out his GoPro and the shark bit down. But get this, the diver said he was never concerned because according to him, hammerhead sharks are harmless to divers as long as they don't act crazy. But dude, I feel like you were kind of acting a little crazy. That is terrifying. All right, let's check in on colder climates now. And do you ever wonder what you could do in Quebec for fun in the winter? Well, one guy decided to channel his inner Mary Poppins, just grab an umbrella and go for a ride. Look at him. He picks up some speed across that ice. Here's a pro tip, though. He says be careful what umbrella you choose because his first trial was with a garden umbrella and it did not go quite as well. All right, last up, step aside, grumpy cat. Meet grumpy koala. Look at that face. He's giving quite the stink eye. So apparently two friends were playing video games in southern Australia when they heard a tapping at the door. One went to investigate, but instead of a person, they see this little guy tapping on the glass with his claws and then peering through the cat flap. They thought maybe he needed help or something, so they put out water for him, but it turned out he just wanted to come by and say hi. Isn't that adorable? Just a little hello, hello. All right, that's going to wrap it up for here at ABC News World View in New York. I'm Maggie Bruley, and here are some of the best photos from around the globe.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.